Saudi Arabia may have some of the strictest rules in the world when it comes to different policies. Let's take a look at 10 of them that Muslims and others have to follow. Number 10, you cannot convert from Muslim to another religion. Although there is no official law requiring all citizens to be Muslims, non-Muslim foreigners and many Muslims living abroad, including Saudi nationals whose views are thought to conflict with the government's interpretation of Islam, must practice their religion in secret and face prejudice, harassment, detention, and deportation as non-citizens. Legally speaking, children born to Muslim dads are considered Muslims, and leaving Islam to convert to another faith is punishable by demise and considered apostasy. Although there is a demise penalty for blasphemy against Sunni Islam, lengthy prison terms are the more typical punishment. In recent years, there have been no verified instances of executions for blasphemy or apostasy. Number 9, you must carry a religion card. Legal residents who are not citizens are required by law to carry an identity card with their religious affiliation, such as Muslim or non-Muslim. Residency cards from earlier times have religious denominations like Christian. According to the naturalization law, candidates must attest to their religious allegiance and get a certificate that has been approved by a local priest. Because the government forbids people from publicly gathering in groups based solely on their religious membership, there are significant restrictions on the freedom of religious assembly. Other restrictions on the freedom include the government's interference with the creation and upkeep of non-Sunni places of worship. The MOIA, the local government, and the province administration, which is technically a division of the MOI, must all grant authorization for the construction of new mosques. Number 8, disrespecting Islam is forbidden. It was uncommon to discuss delicate religious topics like sectarian conflicts, and it is illegal to criticize Islam. The CPVPV and customs officers are not authorized to seize personal religious materials because the government officially permits religious materials to be used for personal purposes within the nation. Additionally, the government has declared that at its diplomatic and consular missions abroad, it will advise foreign workers requesting visas about their rights to private prayer and possession of religious materials, as well as the names of the relevant offices where complaints can be lodged. Number 7, you must take religious classes in public school. Public school pupils at all levels are required to attend religious instruction based on the government's understanding of Islam, regardless of their personal religious practices. It is not mandatory for students attending private international schools to study Islam. To attend private international schools, Muslim students of other nationalities must get a dispensation from the Ministry of Education. Nevertheless, getting the clearance was rarely an issue. It is forbidden to establish private religious schools that do not follow the official understanding of Islam. Number 6, if you're not Muslim, you'll have trouble in court. When determining compensation for accidental demise or disability, discrimination is evident. A Jewish or Christian male plaintiff is only entitled to half of the compensation that a Muslim male would receive if a court rules in his favor. All other non-Muslim plaintiffs are only entitled to 1/16 of what a Muslim male plaintiff would receive. In addition, judges have the discretion to reject the evidence of people who do not follow the official interpretation of Islam or who are not practicing Muslims in favor of Muslim testimony. In addition, courts follow the Quranic requirement that a woman's testimony in capital cases is worth just half as much as a man's. Number 5, Shiite mosques are harder to construct. Religious leaders and activists were not allowed to publicly voice opinions that were critical of the religious establishment by the government. As a result, certain Shia Muslims encountered difficulties when building their mosques. For instance, provincial authorities in Al-Asa have revoked some permits for already existing mosques and lecture halls and stopped the construction of some new Shiite mosques and community lecture halls. It was forbidden for Shia in other parts of Saudi Arabia to construct mosques tailored to their needs. The government did, however, permit the construction of a few new Shiite mosques in Qatif and Al-Asa, often after protected delays because of the several approvals needed. Dammam, home to a large Shia population, was not approved for the construction of Shiite mosques. Number 4, what they teach in schools. In 2010, a new curriculum for the 1st, 4th, and 7th grades was introduced nationwide. The English, Science, and Maths textbook for these grades were revised by eliminating all allusions to religion. However, the textbooks for those grades in Arabic and the new religious sciences still use terminology that is bigoted. A revised curriculum for the 2nd, 5th, and 8th grades was piloted in about 100 schools in 2010. It is expected to include less language that is intolerant by the following year when it is introduced in all schools. While reform programs for the remaining grades are being established, the majority of students were taught from textbooks that featured directives to end apostates and to test infidels for their kufr, or unbelief, and maintained language that was intolerant of other religious traditions, particularly Shiite, Christian, and Jewish views. Unrevised school textbooks persisted in having offensive references to Sufi and Shia Muslims, as well as other religious groups, with some even calling for violence. The textbook on monotheistic for males in the 12th grade, for instance, claims that individuals who worship tombs, possibly referring to the custom of Shia and Sufi Muslims of visiting the tombs of revered imams, thus engage in acts of heresy. The scripture continues by stating that legal repercussions follow a confirmation of apostasy, including the requirement that the apostate be put to demise if he refuses to repent. Number 3, Shia Muslims have a harder time finding jobs. Both the public and private sectors discriminated against Shia workers severely. Very few Shia held senior positions in government organizations and government-owned businesses. Many Shia felt that being openly identified as Shia would hinder their ability to progress in their careers. Shia were notably underrepresented in roles pertaining to national security in the MOI, the National Guard, the Ministry of Defense and Aviation, and other organizations. In primarily Shiite districts, Shia were more prevalent in the ranks of the traffic police, local government, and public schools. Regarding the hiring and promotion of Shia in the private sector, there was no official policy in place, but anecdotal evidence suggested that in certain companies, such as those in the oil and petrochemical industries, there was a glass ceiling that prevented well-qualified Shia from being hired ahead of less qualified Sunni colleagues. Number 2, no practicing sorcery. On suspicion of practicing witchcraft, sorcery, or black magic, police arrested and imprisoned an unspecified number of people. These arrests were reported in the media on a weekly basis. The CPVPV sections around the nation have anti-sorcery departments whose job it is to look into and report sorcery instances to local authorities. According to media reports, some of the alleged sorcerers seem to be quacks or charlatans, while others, mostly Africans, seem to be practicing traditional spiritual or healing rituals. Number 1, no issuing public fatwas. On August 12th, King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz issued an order restricting the issuance of public fatwas to those who are members of the Council of Senior Religious Scholars and those under his permission. A number of contentious and occasionally contradictory fatwas published by academics and imams outside the council prompted the decision. The edict did not apply to private religious ideas expressed at an individual's request. People are free to keep looking for religious guidance on matters pertaining to daily living or particular circumstances that may come up and aren't covered by the official public fatwas. The Saudi Communications and Information Technology Center blacklisted 3 websites and the text messaging services associated with them after the decision. Numerous sites that were comparable voluntarily stopped publishing fatwas. That's all for today. Let us know in the comments if you think we missed anything and leave us a follow to keep exploring the world with us. Peace out.